Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're gonna try out this new method for lectures using videos, and I hope you enjoy it. So the subject today we're gonna learn is the anatomy of the endocrine system. So what's the main organ of the endocrine system? The endocrine system is basically composed by glands. So the glands are the main organs of the endocrine system. But please bear in mind that glands are not only found in the endocrine system. We also have glands produced in other organs. For example, the skin, we have glands that release sweat. We all learned in the digestive system that we have also, for example, the stomach and also digestive organs that they have glands that secrete substances to the lumen of the gastrointestinal system, for example. So a gland, by definition, is a group of cells that synthesize chemical substances. Those chemical substances can be secretions or hormones. In case of secretions, so we are talking about exocrine glands, okay? And in case of hormones, those are the glands that belong to the endocrine system. A difference, anatomically speaking, those type of glands, they have a couple of differences. One of them is that in the exocrine gland, these glands are also called ducted glands. Ducted because they have ducts. And these ducts, they release chemical substances. In this case, could be sweat, could be saliva, could be gastric juice in case of stomach, okay? On the other hand, in the endocrine gland, this gland is also called ductless gland, okay? Ductless because they don't have ducts, okay? As you see here in this picture, this gland is a cluster of cells, okay? And these cells, they are surrounded by vessels, by capillaries, okay? And those glands, this gland, the endocrine gland here, will release chemical substance called hormones, okay? And another characteristic of the endocrine glands is that the hormones, they release into the bloodstream, okay? So they go to the blood circulation and then they will have an effect that is far away from the production, the site of production, as you see here, okay? I'll give you an example. We have the growth hormone. So the growth hormone is, for example, produced by the pituitary gland or hypophysis, which is located in the brain. So in the brain, we have this gland, that this gland produces the growth hormone, and the growth hormone will have effects in distance, like in a distance far away from the site of production. So we have the action of the growth hormone, for example, in all cells of the entire body, because the growth hormone has anabolic effects that builds up muscles or is responsible for general cellular growth. Okay. And here you can see the different types and examples of exocrine glands. Okay, we have exocrine glands in the digestive system producing saliva, gastric juice, pancreatic juice. We have the lacrimal glands, okay, in the eyes. We have the sweat glands. We have also here the sudoriferous glands. And also the mucous glands, the mucus that we produce mucus in the nose, for example, in the nasal epithelium, in the respiratory tract also, okay, in the bronchus. etc. Those are some of the multiple functions of the endocrine system. And here we have an overview of the endocrine glands of the human body. So basically, we have some glands that they are called pure glands, okay? Examples, we have the pineal gland, pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, and also adrenal glands. They are called pure because their only function is to release hormones, okay? That's why they are pure. On the other hand, we also have other glands that they are called mixed glands, okay? Mixed because they have two functions. One of them is to release hormones and the other function is to secrete secretions. Examples, the pancreas. The pancreas can secrete pancreatic juice and also secrete release hormones including insulin and glucagon, for example. Okay. Other examples we have in the brain, in the central nervous system. In this picture here of the brain that you see on the left hand side, you see the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is a region of the brain, okay, which is involved with the endocrine control. Okay, it's like consider the endocrine control in the central nervous system. So the hypothalamus produces several hormones. And as you see here, this region of the hypothalamus, it, it has a connection with the pituitary glands or the pituitary gland or the neurohypophysis that you see here in white in this picture of the pituitary gland here on the left hand side. So the hypothalamus uh, has like neurons, okay? So the hypothalamic neurons, they go down here to the neurohypophysis. So these neurons, they release hormones, okay? They release hormone secretions into the pituitary gland. And then from the pituitary gland downwards, we have more hormones that they are released from here downwards. So example, here in the pituitary gland, we have the release of the TSH. Okay, so TSH is the thyroid stimulating hormone. So look at this name, thyroid stimulating hormone. So this means that this hormone will stimulate the thyroid. Okay, so the action of the TSH is released here, okay, in the pituitary gland, and then it will have an effect in stimulating the thyroid, okay, specifically. So this is an example, okay? So most of the hormones released here, their function is like to stimulate other organs, okay? So we have TSH, which stimulates the thyroid. We have FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone. So follicle because it will stimulate the follicles, for example, which are the gonads. So there you go. Here we have a couple of examples of stimulating hormones released from the pituitary gland. And the development of the glandular epithelium. So this picture here illustrates how how a gland is formed. Okay, so during like the embryonic development, we have an epithelium, and then we have the proliferation of cells in their downgrowth into the subjacent connective tissue. Okay, so the cells, they basically grow downwards, okay, and they form like this cluster of cells, like a cord here. And then we have ramifications, okay, so there are two, let's say, different pathways. So the first pathway is the formation of an exocrine gland. Okay, an exocrine gland, as you can see here, it has a duct. Okay, so the cells, they release secretions in the duct, and then the secretions, they come out of the duct. Okay, this could be the skin, for example, okay, releasing sweat. This could be the oral epithelium, okay, releasing saliva, okay, or this could be the bronchial epithelium releasing mucus, right? So those are examples of exocrine glands. They have ducts, as you see here. And then the other option is to form. Um, so these cords, they detach from the basal lamina, as you see here on in this picture of the middle. And this cluster of cells, they are like surrounded by capillaries. Okay, so they can form like cords of cells, okay, like this, or on the third picture here that you see, it forms like a follicle. So both are examples of endocrine glands because they don't have ducts. They are called ductless. And their histological pattern basically talking about endocrine glands. Okay, so the endocrine glands, they have like three types. Okay, they can be classified in trabecular type, which is basically found in the adenohypophysis, parathyroid, and adrenal glands. So the trabecular type basically is made from the cords of the cells, okay, as you saw in the previous slide. The second type is the follicular type. So in the follicular type, the cells form spherical structures. As you see here, those spherical structures are called follicles. So those are follicular endocrine glands. Examples, we have the thyroid gland. Okay, and the third type is the disseminated type. So the disseminated type are basically when the cells are placed in groups that they form like clusters, or uh, they are like separated clusters in the same organ. Okay, so an example here is the pancreatic islets or Langerhans islets in the pancreas. So those islets, they are like little islands. Okay, so little clusters that they are disseminated uh, through the organ. And the action of hormones basically depends on the hormone concentration in blood, meaning that the higher is the concentration of this hormone in blood, so potentially more effects they will produce. It also depends on the amount of receptors in target cells. Okay, so basically each hormone chemically binds to a specific receptor. Okay, so we have the receptors are proteins. Okay, so one hormone is chemically attracted to one specific receptor. It's worth it to mention that One tissue, for example, can have like many different receptors for different hormones. Okay, so one tissue has different receptors for different hormones. This is possible to occur. And also depends on the action of hormones, also depends on the possible influence of other hormones. These other hormones could be stimulating or inhibiting hormones. Okay, so for example, I gave you the example previously about the thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay, so the thyroid stimulating hormone is a stimulating hormone that will stimulate the thyroid to release, for example, T3 hormone, okay, which is a hormone secreted directly here by the thyroid. And an example of inhibiting hormone, we have, the growth hormone that I mentioned before. So we have the growth hormone inhibiting hormone. So this hormone inhibits the growth hormone. Okay, so they have like antagonist effects. It's like the muscles that we have agonist and antagonist. So the hormones, we can have stimulating hormones and inhibiting hormones.